of the DugOut Talk with the Downs Bros. This is my brother Tommy Downs, and I am Tony Downs. And tonight we're going to talk a little bit about scholarships. It seems that a lot of student athletes, moms and dads, parents, friends, relatives,
Name them all. Throw them all out there.
from all there, they really don't understand different division scholarships, academic money, and how financial aid works, and what's paid for, what's not paid for.
Yeah.
And so this is really informational, like all the other podcasts, but this has to do with money, right? The most important thing, right? What people, a lot of athletes are like, they're chasing that scholarship money, think scholarship, scholarship, scholarship. It's not just scholarship. And that's what we're going to start off with tonight. And I'm going to be hitting Coach Tommy Downs over here because he gives out scholarships and academic money every single day to the right athletes to join, excuse me, to join his family. And I mean by family, I mean by his Dakota Wesleyan University softball players. And it
Yeah.
really is his family. And so, Tommy, let's start it off real quick. So, NAIA is a little different than D1, D2. Obviously, D3 is a different animal in itself. And then, of course, JUCO is different.
Yeah.
Um, but NAIA, so a lot of people think that NAIA gives out scholarships. They have so many scholarships to give out, or blah, academic money, and they're stacking and non-stacking. So let's kind of break that down a little bit. Um, what is, let's just say what is stacking scholarships? What does that mean to people?
Well, so again, there are some different schools that do different things at the same
Every
level.
every NAIA school,
Everybody's a little different, but about the same.
yeah.
So what stacking means is that you're taking academic aid that you'll get from a university and athletic aid that you can get from a university, and you put them on top of each other for one bundled price off of what it is for tuition that year per year. So that's kind of what stacking is. A lot of schools stack. There are some that might not stack fully. So that's kind of how that looks.
So first thing is first, every athlete, and you need to listen to me, they need to go into FAFSA, right? And you need to fill out their FAFSA form. And I always suggest they do it January before coming into their freshman year in August. So you want to start filling that out in January, getting your FAFSA in and approved. Because listen, there's only so much money in FAFSA, you guys. And the later you wait, the less it is. And so you are guaranteed for financial aid, but we're talking about financial aid, we're talking about academic money, we're talking about scholarship money. And so when you're talking to college coaches like Tommy, Coach Tommy, or any other NAIA school, we're talking about NAIA right now, and you're just talking about, let's say the school costs 35 grand to go there a year, right? And Coach Tommy says, I'm going to give you 20 grand, right? So 20 grand could be at DW, it could be academic money and scholarship money, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and there's some and Tony, there's schools out there that don't give, they do walk-ons. And I can tell you right now, I
Well,
with my
let's not talk about walk-ins just yet. Let's talk
yeah,
about more of the financial piece because I think
sure,
the option later, right?
sure.
So if we're talking academic money, we're talking when we say academic, we're saying, listen, your GPA is above a certain GPA, you may get full academics, right? So what does a full academics look like to you as a college coach? So when you see a
Well,
student that says, I have a 3.80, or
yeah.
you have a student that says, I have a 4.0.
Well, I can tell you that, when I'm out recruiting, I often don't look under a 3.5 just because financially, I know it just gives them a better opportunity to come to my university without a lot of, hardship of money. So they're not having a ton of money.
Well, unless mom and dad are loaded,
Unless mom and dad are loaded, then that doesn't
or they
matter.
or they saved up for
Yeah,
their
but it's also a double-edged sword, and I'll tell you why. Because I know that a player that's a 3.5 and up, they're orientated. They're going to get things done. I'm not going to have to babysit them. They're hardworking, obviously, if they can get up to 3.5 and up. So that kind of matters to me. So like I said, it's a double-edged sword there. I mean, it's good for both sides of that, right? So for me specifically, that's why I do that. But
yeah.
I also know that if I can get a kid out of 3.8 to 4.0, they're almost at their max academic aid, which is going to give them a good amount of money a year, plus whatever I can throw on athletically. and I know that that'll help keep them there for 4 years financially. So it's an easier fit, right? So for me, I'm all about a kid that's got a high GPA. It matters to me. So I can tell you right now, just because my program is one of the top in the country in GPAs, that still doesn't matter. I brought kids in at a 3.3 and they've got to that 3.66 range. But
Well, I think that's because you as a coach, and now let's talk about this really briefly,
sure.
but Coach Tommy was at another college, very high academic school, and they were top of the nation in GPAs as a school as a college. Yes.
Yeah.
What was your GPA as a team?
This year, are you
No,
talking
no,
about
no,
recently?
no, at the previous school. Yep.
Oh, they were like a 3.75 or something like that.
Is that like a record for the school for the softball
Oh,
team?
it was with top they've had in a long time. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then he's at this school now, and you're like number 17th in the country in GPA.
We're 20th in the country in GPA
20th.
for softball with a 3.66, and we're number one in our conference.
That's amazing. So what he's saying
Yeah.
is, listen, the athletes that he's choosing, they got to be strong academically. And if you're not, he has a 3-3 student. By the time you get to that school, he's going to set you up where, you're focusing on your academics as well as your athletics. But your academics is number one. You're not a student
Well, yeah, I
athlete
mean
first. You're an
that's the
academic
thing.
first.
Yeah, and that's the thing is that you're a student first. I mean, at our level, that's just the way it is. And now I
Yeah.
understand other levels are not that way, and totally fine. It's not for us. I mean, you're going to get both sides of the fence for sure.
Yeah. And so that's the reason why I bring that up. I think that's awesome that he, as a coach, cares about your future. Why does GPA matter? Well, because GPA, that goes on your resume.
It looks great
And
on resume,
resume.
especially when
And
you're going against maybe hundreds of people, right?
yeah.
Job.
And you're an athlete and you went to school, not just a student. So
Yeah.
so that's huge. I always want to bring that up because I think that if you have a coach that's really pushing for that, that's the coach that you want to play for because they're not only there for your athleticism, academics, but for your life in the future. So that's awesome, T. So let's talk about, the money piece of it. Let's say 90%, well, let's just say this. So they get full academic aid. Let's say they're a 4-point student, right? They get full academic aid. And let's say that's probably what, 75%, 70% of their tuition?
If they're at full academic, they're probably close to 60 some percent in
Okay.
that ballpark.
And then you throw on scholarship on top of that, it could
Athletic.
be
Yeah.
around, excuse me, athletic. They're probably around what, 80%?
Anywhere from 70 to 80, possibly.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that means there's 20% of your tuition left over, right? So easy math, let's say at 20 grand, if you're getting 80% scholarship, right? You're getting 16 grand, you're coming out of pocket for 4 grand. Now your financial aid's a guaranteed 5 grand a year as a freshman, yeah?
Yeah.
So it's going to cover it, you're going to be good. Now we throw the caveat in there. And the caveat is this: NAIA schools, they don't pay for your room and board, correct?
No, they don't.
So parents don't know this, and then this is where it kind of get well. We're going to get 80% of your tuition. That's 80% of your tuition. 70% of your tuition is freaking incredible. You guys, just so you know that's incredible, right? Because it's offsetting what it is to cost to go there. But there's always room and board that you have to pay for. What does room and board mean? Room and board means that you're going to share a dorm with somebody, unless you're lucky to get your own place, which I doubt it, but you're going to share it. And then board means you're going to get meals. It's a meal card.
Yeah.
So you're guaranteed to have a meal every day. Junior college, you guys, just so you know, most don't have that. You're fighting food. I remember back in the late 80s, man, we struggled to have food. We struggled to eat. I had no money. But besides, I couldn't have my dad Venmo me money. I had to send him like mail to him. He get it in a week, and then I get my money in a week. You know what I mean? So these kids now, JCs, you gotta fight for yourself. You gotta fix your own food, right?
And live your own place. I mean,
Yeah, and your own place and
yeah.
everything else, right?
Yeah.
There's some GCs that have dorms,
There are.
rarely, but
Yeah.
some do. But we're talking NAIA. It does not cover your academic money, your fine and your scholarship money. Does not cover your room and your board. So when you go, okay, I got 80% scholarship and academic money, great. Uh-oh, there's more cost. So I know that DW is actually one of the cheapest I've seen in a long time when it comes to room and board. And this is important. So when you guys are looking at these schools, find out. I have all my recruits that go through Tech College Recruitment. I make them when they're looking at schools, find out how much it is room and board at the school for a year.
Yeah, and Tony, if I can elaborate on that a little bit, I always tell athletes that, hey, look, there's always a cost for you to live, whether you're living out with mom and dad or not, right? So, you know, to me, that's something that is just automatic that you have to,
You
take.
can't get out, you can't get away from
Yeah,
it, Tony.
you're not gonna get away from it. You know, and there are obviously there's some grants and there's some things that you can get on your own to make that offset that a little bit, obviously. But I went from my previous school to what was 14K a year for room and board to
Was
72.
that room and board or was that just room?
That was room and board, 14K, and now it's
So
my
that's
where it's
so it's
it's
70. So let's just break down the math. That's
yeah
7,000 per term or per semester, right? So a total of 14 a whole year.
yeah,
I
and then
want
now
people to understand that.
and now I'm at a university where it's 7,200 a year.
Okay, so we're talking what, 3,600 bucks
Yeah,
a term a semester. So that's important, right? So
yeah.
what Coach Tommy's talking about, what I'm talking about is you guys, the big fight is get academic money. You got to bust your butt in your grades. That's what we always say: grades, 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 academic, 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 and then scholarship. If you're lucky to get scholarship on top of that, stacking, like Coach Tommy's talking about, that's going to cover the majority of your tuition, right? Or a part of your tuition. But
Yeah.
then there's room and board. So mom and dad know that you're not done paying. That's NAIA, softball, baseball. That's how it is. So, but there's some things that can offset that with your financial aid, Pell grants, things like that. Coach Tom was talking about grants, meaning that there's a lot of things you can write letters for, and especially if you're like native or something else,
Military.
military. I mean, there's so many things that you can do to write to get more scholarship money. You can. I know that when my wife was getting her doctorate, or excuse me, her master's, no, her bachelor's in nursing, she wrote to a couple different places at Grand Canyon University, and they paid for the majority of her money just by getting grants as being a woman in college and blah blah blah. So there's a lot of these things that are out there. You just got to do your research on that. But I just want to be very clear with everybody that the first part is academic scholarship if you're lucky, right? And then the second part to that is room and board, and that does not change for any NAIA school. Everybody has their own price of their room and their board, depending on how much it costs to go there, to stay there, to eat there, right? And I will tell you that one of the big things I did for my kids is I'm like, listen, I don't want you to go to junior college and struggle to eat because I did. It sucked. And then when I went to a 4-year school, man, I was like, I had a buffet and food, and I was eating 3 times a day and happy as a camper. You know what I mean? And that's important, you guys. That's important. And there's some people that want to live off if you're getting older and you want to live off campus and then you don't want a meal card, you want to cook your own stuff. So be it. Like Coach Tommy said, everybody's different. And you're going to pay the cost whether you're at a 4-year school, a 2-year school, it doesn't matter. You're going to pay it, right?
There's a
It's all
cost
part
for
of
you to
your
live no matter what you do.
yeah, it's all part of the whole, it's all part of everything, right? The total cost of going to school. So I want to be clear on that. You want to talk any more about like scholarships and with the NAIA?
Yeah, the only thing I'll talk about is going back to that whole walk-on thing,
Oh
and
yeah. Let's talk about the walk-on.
something I'll say though before that is, my school specifically, like we offer an athletic aid to every athlete. So
That
not all
that you
schools are that
recruit.
way.
That
Yeah,
you recruit.
that I recruit. So not all schools do that. So kind of getting back to what we talked about earlier about walk-ons. I mean, I've been at a university where you only have so much money to give out every year, and then if not, then you just bring people on as a walk-on. So they're only getting academic aid only.
Explain to our athletes and mom and dads out there and parents and whoever's taking care of the kids, what does a walk-on actually mean? And
So
hold on. What does a walk-on actually mean? And what does a freebie mean to a coach?
well, let's start with a freebie real quick. Freebies are ones that they come in, at it's basically it's right after the school because they're coming in at a certain rate. So because they're
Full
high,
academic aid.
they're high academic kid, right? So that doesn't count against us for our numbers, right? Because we only get so many scholarships to give out. So if we're bringing in those high academic kids, that doesn't really go against us in a way. So it really helps us to give out more money, possibly, right? Which is a big deal. Um, and to go back to about the walk-on thing, where we talk about, if you're coming to a university and they don't have any more athletic aid for you and they want you and you're walking on, now there are different stipulations between NAI schools and whatnot, but some are going to they're going to give you a 1 year contract. And if you work out as good as a walk on, you could possibly get money from that point athletically, or they keep you on and then you can continue the next, 3 years. But they also could cut you at that point as well. Now, again,
So,
like I said, everybody's a little different when it comes to those kind of things. Even in NAI, there's some schools that just go year to year contract in general, not just walk-ons, but in general, I've seen that. So it's not all fits one for sure.
well, I will say this. I know that at both schools I've seen Coach Tommy, and again, this is has to do with coaching and kind of the human side of him being a coach. But I have seen this with my own eyes, and I know it exists out there where athlete is left for whatever reason. They just couldn't go to school anymore. So they literally dropped out of school completely, student, athlete, everything. And then there was that money sitting there that they previously had for scholarship or whatever. I've seen Coach Tommy give that money to one of his athletes that walked on, that was doing well, that was doing everything he asked of him and more. And I mean, these guys are crying, their parents are crying. I mean, he didn't have to, but this is the kind of coach that he is. And there's coaches out there that are like that. They're all, they're there to listen. That didn't cost him anything. That student left, that money was there. He could have gave it to somebody else, maybe another pitcher that he'd want him to stay or whatever, but he didn't. He gave it to somebody that was really working their tail off, that had no money, that parents were struggling. And that's huge. I'm just trying to give him kudos right now. It's tough for me to give him kudos. I say this all the time, but I do because he's done it several freaking times.
Well, and again, Tony, that's a great point for just how about these recruits in general to maybe ask some of these coaches this question. Hey, if I come in and I'm a walk on, is there opportunities for me if I do better
Yes.
or play to get,
Yes.
I mean, those are questions you want to ask, those kind of questions. I've had even athletes go, hey, I've been here for 3 years and I've done this, this, and this, is there an opportunity for more money? And like I said, if there's freed up money, maybe that's what you do. And I think coaches should do that for people that are doing, better than what they've, originally signed
Yeah.
or just exceeded what they wanted on the program. So yeah, absolutely. And again, like I said, I think that's a great question for athletes out there to ask coaches. Hey, how do you do this? What do you do when it comes to walk-ons or possible more money? If let's say, hey, my first 2 years I was all conference player and blah blah blah. Is that something that I can get more aid for? Because again, you know, it's a numbers game. At the end of the day, it's a numbers game, right? There's only so much money to give out. But, I've had recruiting years where I didn't bring in that many kids. Maybe I brought in four, right? Maybe I have a few thousand left. Maybe it just goes back into my team. Maybe I
Yeah.
don't. But I mean, those are all options, right? And I think that those are questions you want to ask coaches.
Well, I always say to everybody in my life right now today, you ask my kids or say it all the time, you don't ask, you don't get. If you don't ask, you're never going to get. So you might as well freaking ask, right?
And another thing I'll say to recruits out there in general, it's okay to get a no. It's not
Yeah,
a bad thing. It's okay to get a no.
absolutely.
Just continue to push on. Even if it's a no, hey, you're not fit here. It's okay. Push on.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah, I mean, listen, your coaches are human beings for criminy sake. But we sometimes we put these guys on pedestals or women on pedestals and they think, oh my God, they can't ever be talked to or whatever. And oh, I don't want to. No, they're human beings, right? They could have had kids that played sports. They understand what that is. Maybe they didn't, or whatever. Maybe they have nieces and nephews, whatever, but they experience it on a daily basis. So sit down with them and just take a moment of their time. They will sit down with you and ask them that question, especially in the recruiting phase. Listen, if you're a late high school athlete, softball or baseball, and you haven't signed to play at the NAIA level or JUCO or whatever, have that conversation. Like, listen, I really want to go to your school because there's everything you like about the school. Academics,
No.
Maybe it's not that expensive and you can't afford to go there, right? Um, and then maybe it's geographical location's perfect and you can get your degree, whatever. Maybe it's a small class sizes you like, maybe it's a coach you like. Then have that conversation with them. Ask them, like, listen, is there a possibility for scholarship money in year 2, year 3, year 4? You know, if that's so, then every little bit helps. Even $1,000 helps, right? It
Oh, it
helps
does.
mom and dad. It helps everybody. So
It does.
ask, please ask, right? Anything else you want to talk about with the freebies and the um, academic and athletic aid? And because everybody's different. Everybody's different with
Only
that.
thing I'm going to say, and we've talked about this before in other podcasts, and I'm not bagging on the APA things,
No,
but
no, no. Let's talk about that
yeah,
because this has a
I,
lot to do with what we're talking about.
I also
AP classes.
AP. Why is I don't now I'm talking like you
I
did. That was you saying
APA,
that crap.
yeah, APA is a writing format for colleges. That's funny. I say it all the time because I'm
I
always
know. Dang it, now you got me hooked on it.
I
Crap.
know. AP
AP
classes.
classes,
That's what.
but often I get these athletes that are these recruits that are coming out, and I'm sitting down with a mom and dad, and they're talking to me. Yeah, my kid's taking AP, blah blah blah. I'm like, oh, good. And I'm like, well, what's your GPA? Oh, well, they're like a 3.9 right now. They got a B plus, blah blah blah. I'm like, okay. And I go, I'm not saying it's wrong. It's not wrong, but here's the problem I have with AP. It's for people that are not athletes. It's for you to get done with school early to get out. If you're an athlete, you got 4 years of eligibility. 99% of people want their 4 years of eligibility, right? So why are we going to take AP classes that could possibly hurt me financially? What I mean by that is that if I can just take regular classes and bring in a 4.0, I'm going to get full academic aid. Every school's a little different, but for me, it's over half tuition paid.
So so
Why would you want to risk that? And I've had several athletes that came in at a 3.91 or a 3.9, and they're like, why am I not getting full? And I'm like, you just missed the mark. They're like, yeah, well, I got a B plus, and I was hoping to get an A out of my AP class, and I didn't. And I'm like,
so
it's so unfortunate. So they're
and
losing
I
they're losing $2,000 a year for 4 years.
so let me exclamation point this, Tommy, because this I mean, I was an executive for 13 high schools in Oregon. I mean, excuse me, Oregon, in Arizona and California. And one of our things, and I was part of this, is we had to hire teachers for these AP classes. We had to put butts in seats. Our counselors were required to talk to athletes, to talk to regular students, to get those students in those AP classes because we're paying for those teachers.
Yeah.
We're paying for these classes. We have to get them filled, or
Yeah.
we're wasting our money. So what Coach Tommy is talking to you parents about right now, and you really got to listen to us because we are not the only college coaches talking about this. Every college coach we've ever talked to, ever, has the same problem. Because again, if you're taking an AP class is great because there's a couple good things about the AP classes. You take it, you can reduce your amount of years going to college because you can finish early because you've taken those college classes, right? You're getting
Yeah.
credit for those college classes. That's outstanding, but it's not outstanding for an athlete because most athletes want to play 4 years, not three, not 2.5. And if you're taking AP courses, you've just shrunk your amount of academic. Now you have to get a master's. And by the way, you may have had an 85% scholarship or 90% scholarship, academic money and scholarship. And because you have to get your master's, some only pay half, some pay nothing. And now you're out for your master's program yourself for your last third,
Yeah,
three
it's
and a half,
and
4 years.
again, in most universities, the master's program isn't as much as the normal bachelor's, right? But
About
here it is. It's
roughly
still,
they're roughly about 20 grand a year, roughly.
yeah. So basically, what people don't realize is that it's all out of pocket because you don't you
Oh,
you lose your athletic and academic aid once you go into a master's program. You no longer get those things.
correct.
I recently had an athlete where she came in with so many credits that she's got to double major, do something else, or do her master's because that's where she's at, right? If she wants 4 years of eligibility, right? So now
She probably had bad advisement.
well, and it was, and this is what's crazy. She's a nurse, right? So what do nurses want? They want them out in the field soon, right? Get done,
Mhm.
get done, get done, get it done. They're not thinking about the athletic part, right? They're thinking, hey, get done, which is the right thing to do. They want to get them out there. I totally understand it, right? But here it is. If they're athletes, they probably want their 4 years of eligibility.
Well, I
You
don't
know?
think I've ever talked to an athlete, softball or baseball, that said, "Yeah, I only want to play 2.5, 3 years, and that's it." They don't. They want to play all 4 years because they want to play. That they work their butts off their whole life to play 4 years.
Yeah.
And so we're not sitting here beating up these high schools that are talking their kids and going to AP classes. On the
Well,
contrary,
it's for people, just not really for athletes.
yeah, and what we're saying is, as an athlete, you need to make your own decision. You don't have to take an AP class. You feel like you may be getting forced, you do have a voice. You don't have to. What
Yeah.
we're saying as college coaches in this industry, have been doing this a very, very, very long time. As a person that owns their own college recruiting company, I'm telling you right now, and this has happened to Coach Tommy and so many other coaches, where you take an EP class, you're busting your butt, and all of a sudden you get a B out of the class. I don't care if it's a B plus or B minus. A B is a B. It's not an A.
Yeah.
So now your GPA drops from 4.0 or 4 point plus to under 4.0. The 4.0 is a threshold for full academic. If you go below 4.0, you lose money. That means mom and dad now have to fork that out. So the risk is take the AP class, hope and pray you don't get a B, because if you do, you lost money. Or don't take the AP class, kill your gen ed courses and get a 4.0 guaranteed, right? And get your full academic money. Because if you can get full academic money, you are top tier. You're a freebie to a college coach. College coaches absolutely love you. Not that you won't get a scholarship too. It's just that you're a freebie. And to them, they get excited when they get 4.0s. We talk to college coaches all the time, Tommy, at these recruiting events, and they're like, I get a 4.0 student, man, I get excited, right?
I mean, it almost sometimes it's a frenzy, especially if they're showing a good product on the field. It's a
Oh,
frenzy.
oh,
I mean, it's
you
like I
guys,
said,
they will
it's just
fight.
like you called it. It's basically a freebie in a lot of ways.
Yeah,
So who doesn't want those kids? I
yeah,
mean, can you imagine a world where everybody was close to a 4.0, what it would look like?
yeah.
It would be weird because it would be so, you know, it just would be everybody would be if they were good, it'd just be based on their ability because their money would be good. Everybody would be getting full
Well,
academic.
I mean, I know, especially when let's talk about D3 real quick. NCAA Division three, right? You guys, these are the academic animals out there. They have no scholarship, athletic scholarship, zero, zilch, nada.
Yeah, and most coaches at that level, it's a 3.8 and up. They're not
Well,
three. There's very rarely they're giving the 3.7s unless mom and dad got
and
money.
and
It's
here's
hard, man. It's
well,
hard. It's a lot of money.
let me kind of explain why. Because Tommy, there's you guys, I'm telling you this right now. I know I've talked about my company in the past. I probably should even talk more about it, and I don't. But Tech College Recruitment. This is why I say have a conversation with the professionals because they're going to break it down for you, division by division, benefits by benefits, right? And the goods and the bads. And there's a lot of bads. And a lot of kids don't understand the bads until they run into it. And they all of a sudden like, oh my God, what do I do now? Well, they're transferring out. That's what happens. But let's talk about Division three academic only, right? These guys can only give you academic money off your GPA. So most D3s are private schools, by the way. And what does that mean? Private schools, there's like 60 grand to go there, 40 grand, 50 grand to go there. They're expensive as hell. So there is no out of state tuition, there is no in state tuition. It's one tuition, and it's usually pretty freaking high. So now we're talking high now, right? So you get full, let's say you're a 4.0, you get full academic money. It's still not going to cover your tuition of 50 grand. It's just not going to, right? You are going to come out of pocket 100%. There is no athletic scholarship to kind of get you there, right? We're talking, that's it. So if you drop down to a 3.80 and you get recruited by one of these college Division three coaches, they're taking a chance on you. And they're also hoping mom and dad have some money because they only can give you so much with that GPA. And now remember, they're really high, they're all academic. Now they can give out a little bit more aid, or excuse me, more academic money than most because they're a private institution.
Yeah.
So that dollar amount, let's say at DWU, their academic may be way smaller than what D3 can. D3 can, there's money they can give you. They can find some money for you. I'm not saying that you're not going to get, some good quality money. I'm just saying that there is no athletic to go there. It's only
Well,
academic.
and that was my point, Tony. That's why they have to have these kids at a 3.8, 4.0 because they're going to get a lot of more money. And the odds are that they can make that work for
Yeah,
their
I mean,
families. Yeah.
we were talking to some D3 coaches this last year, actually, and I'm like, what's your bottom line? Like, what's your bottom GPA? Because what happens is, here's the deal. And we were recruiting with them, and we're all looking at the same kids, right? And we're like, okay, hey, and we all start talking, hey, you guys know what their GPA is? And they go and get a marketing flyer from one of the softball teams, and they're like, everybody looking at the same time, and we all skip over all the stuff to GPA, and they're like, ah. I'm out. How many times we hear them say, I'm out? I can't do it. And they are freaking studs. Like, will change their program, but they can't do it. They just can't do it. And that's tough, you guys. So this is where I beat up the players right now and say, hey, listen, get in your freaking classroom, get your courses done, get a good grade. If you need help, there's help for you. Get help.
Yeah.
But it's all about academics, man. If you can help yourself out and your parents out financially, knock out your academics. It's important. Yeah.
100%. Yeah. I can't stress it enough. I mean, I told people, I don't care if you have to take home ec, get an A. Just come in with that 4.0, man. Get
You know
it.
what, Tom, I gotta tell you something. This happened to some personal friends of ours, actually. I my wife and I was just dumbfounded. So the softball player, right? She smart as hell, man. She's a 4+ student, right? And she got the presidential scholarship, so she can go anywhere she wants in the country, anywhere she wants. She's getting maximum aid, maximum academic money.
Yeah.
I mean, anywhere. I
The
mean,
whole thing. Yeah.
she's huge, huge, smart as hell. And she went to a junior college and wasted a presidential scholarship on junior college. You guys, a
Yeah.
junior
That's
college,
unheard of. I haven't even really heard that happening.
Tommy, I'm like, you guys don't
Wow.
understand what I'm saying here. Okay. You get you get out of high school, right? And you got a 4+ point scholarship, 4+ whatever, right? You get presidential scholarship. That's the elite of the elite. That's the most money you can ever get academically, right? That is a ton of aid, a ton of money. And you go to a JUCO. Guess what, guys? That doesn't mean anything to them because if it costs you $280 a credit or $75 a credit, and JUCO is cheap, and it may cost you $2 grand or $4 grand to go there a whole year.
Yeah.
You just wasted your presidential scholarship, you guys. You can't just go to a 4-year school after that and say, hey, I'm presidential. You lost it. You have one opportunity to take advantage of that. And that's right out of high school. And don't go to a JUCO. Not when you got a presidential scholarship. So this is kind of a PSA to
Yeah.
tell me it happened. We were just shaking our eyes, our heads.
Blows my mind. I'm just like, wow, why would you just give away that kind of money?
Off the air, I will tell you who that was. And it's going to blow you away.
Yeah. Well,
But anyway, so I mean, it is what it is. But anyway, anything else you want to cover with this? I think this is
no, I think that's good. I mean, this one I think was a really good, touch on the financial piece that a lot of people don't know. I mean, this is a highly talked about thing when it comes to recruits and parents. It's very big. Obviously, money, it has to be up in the top two things that you're gonna, it'll help you to commit, right? If the money's right and the situation's right,
Yeah, because I mean, let's say you finally got to the parents, and the parents are committing to you now, right? And then you got them, you got their full package, the financial package, and then they're like, well, wait a second, you told me that we only had to pay 10 grand out of pocket. Why do I have to pay, 12,500? And you're like, well, because there's this thing called room and board, and that's $7,500. And they're like, what is that? Why didn't you tell me that from the beginning?
Yeah, and that's a good thing. Is a lot of schools do this, not all. A lot of schools, when you go through like your visit, your tour, or whatever, they on the admission side, they 99% of the time they break all that down for you. They should. I
That's
know
if
that.
you go.
Yeah, and I
That's
know
if
that
you
I
go.
make sure that that's talked about when I talk about that before I even sit down with them. I'm like, here is this, and here is this.
Yeah.
And that part is in there saying our room and board is this, our tuition is this, our fees are this. There's a lot of schools out there that have a lot of hidden fees, and all of a sudden you're like, whoa, wait, whoa, why is it this much? I thought it was
Electronic
just this.
fees, everything. Yeah.
Yeah, there's tech fees,
Chemistry fees,
fees, right?
software
I mean,
fees. Yeah.
everybody has them. Believe me, everybody has them. Some just don't have as many, but here it is. You're gonna want to know what those are because that also adds on top of the pile of what.
Well, yeah, and that goes with coming to the school and sitting down with an academic advisor, sitting down with the registrar's office, and actually getting that business talk of the
Breakdown.
cost, final
Yeah.
the final cost breakdown, because
Yeah.
it's all good if you can do it remotely. But remember, if you're not there asking those questions and you don't know what you don't know,
Yeah.
Coach Tommy's not walking around with these guys. They're getting walked around by student athletes, and they're stopping by the academics office, they're having conversations, or they're having a
Yep.
lecture, whatever.
Financial
Boom.
breakdown. Yep. Everything.
Yeah. And then they get back to them. It's like, hey, coach, this is it. We found our home. And you're like, absolutely, let's go. Right. But there's a lot of things that go into that first, you guys. And the biggest piece is, I'm telling you guys right now, it's GPA. It is GPA, no matter where you're at. Now, if you're going to a junior college, your GPA to get in there is 2.50. So if you struggle in high school, JUCO is it. It's cheap. 2.50, you can get in there most time and you're good. And you can go. The cool thing about that is if you struggled, right, in high school and you went at one term in junior college, you could transfer back out to a 4-year with that GPA that you went there one term. And they're going to go off of that one, not your high school. So that's a little cheating, a little golden nugget for you people out there, right? So anyway, it happens to athletes all the time. They just struggled or whatever, it kind of lost their way. Anything else you want to dive into with that? You want to dive into the type of food you get at a 4-year school? Because a
I
lot of
mean,
people don't know. Tommy, a lot of people don't know.
we can. I mean, my last two schools, the buffet style for me is just the way to go. Just because some people are just picky. Some people want to eat a certain thing. Or how about this? Athletes probably should be eating a little bit cleaner than not. And I'm really big. I mean, I don't have a dietitian in our school, but I mean, our trainers definitely talk about it all the time. And I'm really big on soda and energy drinks. We're not doing that as athletes. We're just not doing it. I don't even allow it in my dugouts. Period. I know that could be a little tough for some people, but at the end of the day, are you preparing yourself to be a fully fit athlete? How about this? If you're drinking soda and you're drinking energy drinks, the odds are of you tearing a muscle or injuring yourself
Hi,
is quite high.
you're
Like
acidic.
50 percentile
Yep.
more doing that versus not. So I don't think people realize that. And I want people to play. So if they're injured and they can't play, then they're no good to me.
Yeah, well, I think that, I mean, honestly, a buffet style or whatever, they can have a salad, they can have protein. They just
Sure,
need.
that was my point is that there's going to be
Yeah.
some more cleaner options probably, right?
Well,
Everybody has pizza, everybody has pasta, everybody has salad bar, everybody has those kind of things
listen,
at a buffet style.
I listen. The only reason why I say this is because it affected my kids. I'm gonna give you a story. So my oldest, Tyler, was at Wayland Baptist University, and he transferred out from an NAIA school to a Division II, Oklahoma Panhandle University. Well, first of all, they're Division II, number one. Number two, it was only $7,800 to go there a year, $7,800 a year to go there. So, but it makes sense. So he goes out, he's in school, and he's like, Dad, this food's horrible. And I'm like, oh, you're fine. Jesus, just pick something, have a deli sandwich or whatever, you're fine. You're lucky you even got food. I didn't have food when I was in junior college.
Top ramen.
Eat something, you're fine. It can't be that bad. So about 6 months down the road, my wife and I went and visited Oklahoma Panhandle University. And we go into his little chow hall, right, where they have their buffet. And I looked at it and I was like, dude, what the hell is this? He goes, man, I told you. I was like, dude, I'm so sorry. We didn't even eat there. We went down there like 30 minutes of their town to get food. But what I'm saying is that it's real. Like, go taste the food. You're gonna have a
No kidding. No.
Go taste the food.
Hey, as a coach, I'm eating at the calf, so I better like it.
Listen, if
I mean, dang
if the staff eats at the calf, you don't even have to try the food because you know it's good. They're not eating shit. I'm telling you right now, they're adults. They don't have to. They don't have to. But I'm telling you right now, I saw no staff members in the school, you guys. None. And I couldn't believe it. I was shocked. But what I'm telling you, and I tell my recruits this too, taste the food. You're going to be eating it for 4 years. If it's horrible, it's probably going to be horrible in 4 years. So go taste the food. You think it's kind of funny, but it's funny, but it's not because I'm telling you right now, that struggle is real. Tommy, am I lying?
It can be definitely real for sure.
Hey, my son was
I'm gonna be
asking me
PC
for
and just say it can be real.
what?
I'm gonna be PC and just say it can be real for sure.
All right, listen, my son was asking me for money every week. I was
Yeah,
telling
but
him,
he's also picky as hell. Him and
yeah,
his
he is
plain
too. So,
cheeseburger with nothing on it. I didn't
yeah,
want to hear
he's
that crap.
no, he didn't have a cheeseburger. He didn't like cheese,
Well,
idiot.
whatever.
Yeah,
The hamburger, but just the hamburger and the patty,
yeah.
not
Well,
bun, and that's
yeah,
it.
yeah. Tyler, you know who you are. Anyway, anything else you want to kind of dive into, or you want to call this one?
No, I think that's pretty good, bro. I like it. I hope it's educational for people and they understand it. Reach out and ask questions, man. I mean, again, I can't stress this enough to athletes. Please ask questions. If you don't know, you don't know. Ask
You never
questions.
know.
If you don't know what to ask, go online and put it on Google and say, what question should I ask a college
Or how
coach
about this?
or whatever.
You kids know what AI is. Go to ChatGPT and ask ChatGPT what questions to ask a college coach.
Done.
I mean, literally, ChatGPT ain't gonna lie to you like that. It's gonna really talk to you about academics. It's gonna
Yeah.
talk to you about financial aid. It's gonna talk to you about everything. So
I've probably had in the last 3 weeks, I've probably had 4 athletes that I've asked, okay, give you questions for me. Not really. I'm like, that's not good. Because
well,
you don't know if I give my spiel. Now, granted, I do an okay job of my spiel. I give a lot of information, but there should be some things that you specifically that are important that you want or that you
yeah,
like or that you need.
maybe
You
they're
know,
afraid
it,
to
it could
ask.
be it could be the little things like you said, cafe. It could be Under Armour versus Nike or whatever. I mean, it could be 1,000 things, right? So you should know what you like. How about this? My daughter hated 5 a.m. weights practice, hated it. Didn't ask that question, didn't know. And I said, sucks, doesn't it? Should ask that question.
She was waking up at 4:30 to get to
Yeah,
away
no,
from five.
if you're late, everybody's running. Not just you, everybody.
Yeah, so that's funny. Tommy and I are going to a recruiting tournament in about a week and a half in Las Vegas with USA Preps. And we get together. This is how it works. Camp Friday night, we get there, get around all these athletes, and there's a couple hundred or whatever. And we get out to the coaches, kind of go out in the outfield, and the kids gather around and start talking to coaches. And Tommy and I are standing there for shoulder to shoulder. And it happens every single time we do a recruiting thing. We're like, all right, ask us some questions, and this is what we get.
Stonewall. It's the Stonewall.
Oh, and then there's that one or two or three girls that will say, "So, do you guys have weight training? What's how many kids are at your school?" Right? It's the common things. And then everybody else is nothing. Everybody's afraid to say something. And
Yeah.
Tommy and I are like, listen, you got one opportunity to talk to these college coaches. And they're listening. Their ears are open, their mouths are shut. Ask them questions. Come prepared. You go to a college showcase and you get to talk to a college coach, you better like spew out of the mouth questions because that's your one opportunity to take advantage of.
Or how about this? How about just come up with 5 things that are really important to you that you want at the next level? How's your team chemistry? How do you coach? What do you guys do on the road? I mean,
How many do you travel on the road?
how many do you travel
How many
everybody?
you keep on the roster?
Yeah, there's so many things that you need and you should be asking. You
How
know,
many if you're a shortstop, how many shortstops do you have on your team right now?
yeah. How many pitchers? How many catchers? I mean, there's a lot of things you should be asking.
Yeah.
That pertain.
So yeah, I mean, and this again, Tommy and I laugh now because it's just like it's every year. It's the same thing every year. And we're continuing to say,
Well, and another thing we try to do is we're trying to help them ask questions. It sucks because we're helping them to go talk to other coaches. So it's
well,
kind of educational, but I mean, again, we're both in the same boat of going, we want to help everybody get to the next level, regardless of
well,
this or not. Let's help somebody
yeah.
get information they need.
Well, and I will say this, Tommy says that, and it's true. I mean, we are loading their guns for them to go talk to their college coach, and that's what it's all about, right? To ask as many college coach questions as you can. It's important. But
Yeah.
what we do though is we find out that we look around real quick, and we got the biggest pile of kids around him and I. It's crazy. You look at these other college coaches and you're like, wow, they only got like 6 kids around it. We have like 30, 40, and they're all just standing there. And it's because we're talking and we're giving them information so they can give us information or ask us questions. And then they kind of pull off and go somewhere else, which they should. They should talk to every coach they can in a certain amount of time. You only get a little bit of time to talk to these guys.
Yeah, we get like 30, 40 minutes maybe. I mean, it's
If
not
that, take advantage of it.
so
I mean,
yeah.
and not a lot of camps do that, but like USA Preps or showcases, they do that. So
Yeah.
you can have
Again, why we're so loyal to them is because we get so much out of it. And the recruiting piece obviously matters to me. I want to have my connection with my athletes. I want to know who they are and I want them to know who I am. Because again, I'm not everybody's cup of tea. I know that it's okay. You know,
you're not even my cup of tea. Shit, I don't get it. You're not even my cup of tea, but you're still part of it here, I guess. No, but it's true though. What he says is true. You know, and not every coach is for everybody. But one thing that it's kind of cool that Tommy, when I see him out there in his little element, you know, how he acts with them is how he is on the field. How he acts with them is how he is at school.
Well,
How
I
he
can tell you
acts with
this,
them.
and I hope every athlete does this. I tell my athletes, I'm like, I'll send you my live links. Watch our games.
Yeah.
Watch the games. See how things are. See if it's something that you want. You know, some kids are like, hey, I want a coach that pushes me. Hey, I want this, I want that. Know what those things are and go find them out. Ask those questions, right? It's such a big deal.
Hey, coach.
Such a big deal.
Hey, coach. Can you send me those live links? Because I don't think you've ever sent me one.
I've sent you several. Nice try. You don't watch any of the games. Nice try. You watch like one game. That was the game that was the game you had like 4 home runs in it. Or you came to Arizona for one day.
I watch all the time. Stop it. You're out of your freaking.
Well, now we're coming to Arizona this fall, so this spring, so now you can see it firsthand.
Yeah, we're gonna have fun too. We are gonna have fun because we're gonna come here and barbecue.
Yeah, the girls love the dogs, so they're gonna love to come there and hang out with the dogs.
Swimming and spa. We ain't gonna swim, but they're gonna be in the spa, I'm sure.
Those guys might want to swim, but that's crazy. That's crazy.
Anyway, all right. Anything else, T?
Nope.
All right.
It's good for you guys.
Yeah, this is a very good podcast. I hope you guys took some information from here and really learned something. And always you reach out to Coach Tommy. All right, if you want to. Tommy's at Dakota Wesleyan University. Always reach out. What's your email there?
It's tommy.downs@dwu.edu.
Yep. And so I'm the obviously college recruiting company, TAC College Recruitment, and you can actually email me at taccollegerecruitment@gmail.com. You can always go to the website taccollegerecruitment.com. There's an information section that you can actually get a free 15-minute consult with me. We can talk about recruiting and how it's going to really benefit you and getting you to the next level. So I will end it on that, T. This is like our number 16th podcast, I think. So we're growing it. Please get the word out for everybody, please. And have a great day. Thanks, buddy.
Yep.
We'll see you.
Swing to the moon.
Yeah, swing to the moon. Nice. We gotta say something else. I don't like that. Swing to the moon. How about grip it? How about grip it and rip it? Let's go.
Yeah, that's Tin Cup. I'm not using
Cup.
those lines, man. Come on. I'm gonna
skyscraper. How about around the horn? We'll see you around the horn.
Okay.
We'll figure it out.
Coming out of the dugout by the Downs boys.
Dugout talk with the Downs boys. We'll talk to you soon.